So Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is coming out this week. I thought it would be very fun to give all of my favorite superheroes actual book recommendations. So that's what this is. If these superheroes had time to read fictional books, this is what I think they would read. Grab a cup of tea, hit the subscribe button, and let's bring on the books. So of course, it's the Doctor Strange movie. We have to start with Mr. Stephen Strange. He's a brilliant surgeon who discovers magic after his hands are shattered in a car accident and then becomes a powerful little wizard man. Doctor Strange, to me, feels like someone who only reads nonfiction books. But if you were to read fiction, there's two directions this could go. It's either super like literary books or classics, or he only reads like James Patterson thrillers. There's no in between. I thought that if we combine literary and thriller, we get the book Leave the World Behind by Rumaan Alam. This is a very weird thriller that's kind of about an apocalypse, but it's just about following like ordinary people trying to deal with an emergency while they're on vacation. Kind of. I think Doctor Strange would get a huge kick out of this book. Like trying to watch normal people handle something like an emergency, like the apocalypse, since he's already dealt with the apocalypse himself as like a little magic man. This is a very like smart, almost pretentious book, and I think he would feel like good about himself talking about the ending and the underlying subtext of this intricate piece. Next, we have to talk about the Scarlet Witch, my dear Wanda Maximoff. She was born magical and she is able to wield chaos magic. Originally worked for Hydra before eventually joining the Avengers, and then Vision died, kind of goes crazy with grief and traps an entire town in her mental illusions. So I think Wanda probably needs a good self-help book, but I bet what she would read for fun, other than The Darkhold, of course, are stories about wild women kicking ass and taking names. I picked two books for her. I would either recommend Circe by Madeline Miller or Bunny by Mona Awad to Wanda. Both stories are about really unhinged women. I think she would enjoy watching Circe come into her own witchy power in spite of all of the gods fighting against her, in spite of her own exile. Like, I think she would enjoy that process. And I also think she would relate to the main character in Bunny, Samantha, losing herself in a group and eventually like coming up for air at the end. And also Bunny is like super gory and weird, and I think Wanda would just like vibe with it. Now, I know that he's not going to be in the Doctor Strange movies, but I love Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's such a little cutie. Obviously, we know the story, a radioactive spider. With great power comes great responsibility. And then, of course, the destruction of the world and the multiverse as we know it, and a very sad, lonely little Tom Holland. Tom Holland's sad little Spider-Man kind of feels like he reads fantasy books. Massive 1,000-page books that he can escape into now that he is all alone. Which, on that note, I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man reads only Stephen King, and I think Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man likes Agatha Christie, if anyone was curious. But for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I would recommend him the Mistborn trilogy or Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy and the subsequent trilogies. Both of these series are very easy fantasies to jump in and out of if you have to like go fight crime or whatever. They all have lots of books, are a really good escape, and they focus specifically on the power of friendship and doing things with the help of others. I think both series would give him like a lot of hope for the future. That's all I want for him. I just want him to be happy and be back with Zendaya. I picked Ms. America next, who is going to be in the next Doctor Strange movie. So this is America Chavez. There's lots of stuff about her in the comics, but she's new to the movies. So she is not born in the multiverse that we know it. She's born in the utopian parallel, and her superpowers include super speed and strength, flying. She's pretty much indestructible to literally everything. And also she can open star-shaped portals to anywhere in the universe, including through time and dimensions. That's really cool. It also looks like she's going to join the West Coast Avengers with the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. She's currently in college with her strong sense of like justice and fighting for the underdog. My thought is that she would probably enjoy contemporary activism books that invite her to learn about other groups and cultures, particularly because she was kind of raised on Earth, but also born outside of the multiverse, so she's like has a very different understanding of the world that we live in. But beyond that, I think that Ms. America needs something about like normal college kids being normal, no fantasy involved. So I also picked two books for her. I thought Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed might be something she'd vibe with. It would satisfy both like the activism books that I think she would like, and is also just like about a girl just trying to like live her life and get health insurance. The other one I think is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. It's like very charming and sassy and about strangers from a bunch of different cultures and classes and groups all working together to save someone, and I also think she'd really vibe with that. I mentioned Kate Bishop, so we have to talk about Kate Bishop, Hawkeye 2, who's like a million times better than the OG Hawkeye, and we're not going to talk about the Hawkeye show, which was objectively terrible. Kate Bishop is a little rich girl. She's straight up obsessed with Hawkeye for like no reason other than she saw him like shoot a couple of aliens down when she was like 12. And she has a very narrow, naive look at the world, but she does have a strong sense of justice, and I feel like she's really willing to learn. She also feels like she would read contemporary activism books, but she would probably read the ones that are written by white authors about diverse groups without like knowing any better. I would recommend Kate Bishop A Burning by Megha Majumdar because that book is definitely written about India specifically for Western audiences. I think Kate would enjoy learning about the other culture, but it would still be in a way that's like actually accessible for her. And the more that she would read books by people of color about their own cultures, she might be able to like expand her worldview. My new truly favorite character in the MCU right now is Yelena, the new Black Widow. I love her. I think she's hilarious. I really want to hang out with all these girls. She's got a really rough upbringing, of course, and is the one to push Natasha to help free all of the Black Widows from Dracov's creepy brainwashing. And now she's just kind of like living her life as an assassin, kind of. I think that Yelena picks books that either make her laugh or scare her, but definitely not anything like emotionally distressing or triggering. I don't know why I feel so strongly about this book for her, but I think Yelena would just eat up Outlawed by Anna North. It's an LGBTQ plus Western bank heist book, which is very cute and fun, but like also super serious and is like just generally quite charming. I just think she'd love the vibe. I don't know why. That's just how I feel. The last superhero we're going to talk about is Moon Knight because I love Oscar Isaac with my whole heart, and I also am kind of obsessed with ancient Egypt, so like this one had to be on the list. So this is Mark Spector / Stephen Grant. Mark Spector is a mercenary who almost dies in the desert and was then revived by a moon god to become the god's high priest. And Moon Knight's whole thing is like protecting people who travel at night, but he also has dissociative identity disorder. And somehow the Egyptian gods are just like in the mix. Stephen Grant is like real chill gift shop employee, but Mark Spector is a mercenary. So I bet he reads crime thrillers, like the ones that are all over grocery stores and airport snack shops. And it might be really stupid to recommend a book about ancient Egypt to a man dealing with Egyptian gods, but I mean, what else am I gonna recommend other than River God by Wilbur Smith? I don't know, he reads about the gods, you learn what you're dealing with. That's all I got for him. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. Put your favorite superheroes in the comments. I know people get super spicy about Marvel and their own opinions. Please talk it out, have conversations, just respect other people's opinion is all that I ask. Go and check out this video if you're looking for something else from me to watch, and I will see you all very soon.